Hello and welcome to No Format Required, the only podcast where you don't know whether you'll get an episode with both Charlie and Mike or just one of us flying solo. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know whether you prefer it or not. No offense, Charlie. It's a YOLO going solo episode today as I'm taking the reins and taking you on an adventure through my bad films club. Just over a month ago, I watched Anaconda. I don't know if any of you have ever watched it, but holy hell, did that film suck, but also, holy hell, it was a cinematic masterpiece. I just needed to discuss it with everything about that film with just someone, but I had no one. Like, that film had everything from bad CGI, a captain who vanishes, no one seems to give a shit. There was a scene where they clearly just rewound the footage because there's the boat's going back, it like goes into a bay, and it's the exact same scene as you see it going into the bay when it leaves the bay, except the waterfall that is in the background is going upwards. So they just used the same footage, but just reversed it. And then everything about Jon Voight's acting decisions, like what was that guy thinking with his accent, just everything. And the wink at the end. I'm going to say no more than that in case you haven't seen the film. But the wink, why? And none of this is really taken even into account the Anaconda, which is just insane. Anyway, I have to say though, J-Lo was actually pretty decent in the movie. That's something that I was quite shocked about. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything before. But Phil was one of her first films. He was pretty good, as was Ice Cube, but he's actually a pretty good actor. Anyway, I really do digress. I needed to discuss this movie, so I found 6 willing friends from work to start a WhatsApp group with me, and we just basically discussed bad movies. So every week we voted out of a pool of around 5 or so movies. The ones we've watched so far are The Pope's Exorcist, Hercules in New York, Samurai Cop, and the hidden gem, at least to me, The Piece de Resistance, should have won an Oscar, # robbed of the nomination. The masterpiece, that is Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws, which we'll get into. It's not actually Jaws 5, it's a rip-off film. I will get into that. But in today's podcast special, I'll be talking to myself, discussing the first of these 4 films, The Pope's Exorcist. So if you want to go away and watch this film, I know that, at least when I watched it, let's double check that now. It was on NowTV, Pope's Exorcist. No longer on NowTV, I don't think. I should really try and fill, but I'm not going to. You're just going to listen to me Googling. Right, I'm on the Now TV app. The Pope's Exorcist. Yes, it's still on Now TV. Well, I'm glad I checked the recording now. So me saying just then, yes, it's now on Now TV. I pressed play and it stopped recording. So I'm glad I noticed that, because that would have been a bit of a disaster. I would have done this whole movie review and nothing. So yeah, it's on Now TV for any of you that have got Now TV. If you want to go away and watch it, then do so. If not, you'll listen to this. Obviously, I've mentioned 3 other films. I don't know why I didn't also mention, I finished today an absolute genius film called No Holds Barred. It's with Hulk Hogan, and again, we will get into that film because I feel I need to discuss it. Hercules in New York is on Pluto.tv, as is No Holds Barred, and Cruel Jaws and what was the other one? Samurai Cop are on YouTube. So if you want to go on and watch them before I eventually get into them, really highly recommend all of them, except maybe not Hercules in New York. Didn't enjoy that one as much, but the other 3, absolutely phenomenal. But for now, we're going to be going into Pope's Exorcist. So this is a warning that there will be spoilers from now on. It's time for Mike's bad, but secretly incredibly enjoyable and deserve more praise than they get, movie reviews. So, as mentioned, the first film on the chopping block is the 2023 spectacle that is The Pope's Exorcist, starring Russell Crowe as our titular exorcist father, Gabriel Amorth. He's Italian, and the movie makes sure we know that by opening up for the first at least 15 minutes of the film with Russell only talking Italian. I'm pretty sure the other characters as well only talking Italian, apart from when we go over to America to see our well, not main characters, side characters that are part of the main plot. It's literally, so like 15 minutes of talk with him only speaking Italian, then halfway through a massive exposition chat about what's going on and what's about to happen. He's talking to the Pope, and then suddenly they both decide to start talking English. Why? Because if they didn't, we didn't know that Russell speaking English whilst doing an Italian accent gives us a quite squeaky racial stereotype voice. It's like somehow, genuinely, he only knows what Italians sound like by listening to Mario after Mario has inhaled helium. Mario I'm referring to is Nintendo's own Mario, not some other Mario like Mario Lopez. I was going to say Mario Balotelli, but I'm pretty sure he's Italian, isn't he? Now, I know I'm not Crow's voice, but he's clearly having a great time in the movie. Like, genuinely, he chews up every single scene left, right, and centre. And it's what, to be honest, makes this movie incredibly fun. It could have been another generic Exorcist tale, but it's the fun that's had with it that actually made me really enjoy this movie. And isn't that what sometimes we want in a movie? As you know, my biggest praise that started some of my movie reviews was Bullet Train, which was fucking awesome. Go see it. But it was so much fun, didn't take itself seriously, and that's what happens with the Pope's Exorcist. The initial first exorcism is a prime example of this. Father Amorth, basically, there's a demon. So this guy is possessed by a demon, and Father Amorth is basically goading him and like saying, "Oh, you wimp, what are you doing? You're too chicken," to possess a pig. So this demon eventually, like, you know what, screw you, and possesses the pig. So moves out of the body of this man, goes into the pig, and then the pig's shot with a shotgun. There you go. Sets up the film perfectly for me. It was humorous, bloody, and silly. So moving the story along to our main plot, after he's had this exposition dump with the Pope, the Pope basically tells Father Amorth to go to Spain to aid a possessed American boy by the name of Henry. So he does. And after this scene, I genuinely had to do maths. Yeah, nerd alert. Father Amorth travels from Vatican City to the Abbey that this American family have just moved to in Spain. So basically, this American family, they think they've divorced or the dad's died, and they take over this Spanish Abbey to sort of renovate it and sell it on. So they've just moved to this Abbey in Spain, and Father Amorth travels from Vatican City there on a moped. I don't think it is, but I'm going to claim that it's a Vespa. I think I read online that it's a Lambretta. I'm not into cars, or I'm not into mopeds. I clearly think they're cars for some reason. I'm not into motor stuff, so I couldn't tell you what it was. But I'm going to go Vespa because it's stereotypical Italian. And also, like, Vespa moped. Russell Crowe wants you to know he's playing an Italian. Anyway, so this Abbey, I've Googled it. It's called, what's it called? San Sebastian in a movie. But it's actually based on another Abbey in the same area that they sort of visit. Because obviously this is all a true story, by the way. So this Abbey is called Monasterio de Santo Domingo de Siles in Spain, which is exactly 1,147.051 miles from Vatican City. So let's round that down to 1,147 miles on a Vespa. On a full tank, a Vespa has 199 miles on it. So this journey, he had to stop off 5 times. Not to mention he had to come back too. And considering the first journey almost equates to 6 tanks of petrol, in total, the return journey there and back would have been 11 stop-offs for petrol. Ridiculous. And I can't believe this film made me do maths. Genuinely true. I was texting my friend Carl about this while watching it. So, Father Amorth has made this insane journey to exorcise Henry, which leads me on to Henry. This kid's played amazingly by, and I'm going to butcher his name, Peter de Souza Finnegy, or Fake Honey. Peter de Souza, can't pronounce it. He's been a mute ever since there we go, see, that I've come to my notes now where he told me it wasn't a divorced dad. Father died. Been a mute ever since his dad was in a car crash. He was in the car crash that killed his dad. But this changes when he's possessed by Asmodeus, who's voiced by Ralph Ineson, British actor, I believe. I'm pretty sure he was in Everyone's Talking About Jamie. He's like one of those sort of like classic, like minor type actors, and not minor as in if you saw him working in the mines, you'd be like, yeah, that's that actor. He's always in those sort of films. But basically that means that Peter's lip syncing to Ralph's voice, and he does it phenomenally. That said, there are some very, very choice moments. The quotes we hear him speak, remembering this kid is 11 years old, okay? He literally grabs his mum's breast and says, "You didn't breastfeed me as a baby. Baby hungry." Yeah, creepy. And then there's another line when speaking to Father Amorth later, who, remember, is a member of the Catholic Church. So as Moses goes to him, "You know what I'm going to do? Fuck you. And you'll feel yourself coming and hate yourself." Yeah, creepy when this... I know it's not the little kid saying it, but he's lip-syncing these words, and it's weird. From that moment on, though, it turns into a game of Exorcist cliche bingo. Vomit, check. Twisty spider leg person, check. Deep voice demon, check. Bring me a piece. Wrong fucking priest, check. And bingo. Now, I'm going to fast forward to the final scene from now, because, like I say, it's pretty generic in terms of the exorcism, back and forth between the demon and the priest until eventually the kid's exorcised. I want you, if you've not watched the film, it is enjoyable. It's just very cliche. So the final scene literally ends setting up, and I kid you not, 199 sequels. I'll quote Wikipedia here just to explain the ending. The triumphant duo, I've not mentioned him, but this duo is Amorth and Esquibel. He's the young priest that aids him. You know, when I mentioned wrong priest, he was a priest that they originally got, but Asimoth was like, no. Visit Rome to find Sullivan. Again, didn't mention him, but he's another priest that was skeptical of the original possession and other possessions. He basically, you know, with the pig one, he said, well, it was just a mentally ill patient. You're just healing the mentally ill by tricking them. Which I sort of get where he's coming from. He's taken leave, though, in Guam, and has been replaced by a new guy called Lumumba. So Amorth and Esquibel are admitted to a special church archive, and Lumumba tells them they will be visiting 199 other evil sites with the help of a map that Amorth discovered at the Abbey to combat the devil. And then Amorth ends the film by saying him and Esquibel are going to hell, but in like a squeaky Italian accent. Yep, that's the end scene. It's basically the Pope Rangers initiative. I honestly did enjoy this movie. It was billed in my local my local cinemas as a horror film, but I didn't find it that scary. It was a ride, a journey, a 1,000-mile trip to Spain, and I enjoyed every minute. That's why I rated the film 8 out of 10. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, I get it. It's a generic exorcism troupe romp, but Russell Crowe genuinely makes this film fun. He knows it's not to be taken seriously, and he enjoys every minute of it. So yeah, I do recommend this film. Yeah, really go watch it on NowTV if you've not already. Don't go in expecting a lot. 8 out of 10 is quite high. It's almost like saying it's a really like Lord of the Rings style type film. It's not. It's just fun. It's enjoyable. It was stick it on a Saturday night. You won't be annoyed with yourself. Now, the next films. I don't know when they're going to be. At some point, I will record them. And the next one that I will record is Hercules in New York. So this was Arnold Schwarzenegger in his first ever film role. Except you won't find him credited as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was in this film with another actor called Arnold Stang. And I think they felt that Schwarzenegger was too big of a surname for American audiences to remember. Remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't known at this time. He was known as like the world's strongest man, I believe, but he wasn't like big as he is now. So I think to pair it with a Stang of Arnold Stang, they called him Arnold Strong. So this film was Arnold Stang and Arnold Strong in Hercules in New York. Like I say, you can find it on Pluto.tv. It's a free website. You don't have to subscribe to anything, and it just got adverts every now and again. But it's worth it to watch free movies. And as always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. It honestly helps. Any reviews you give just really helps to really promote the show. And obviously interact with our socials. You can find us No Format Required on Instagram, Facebook, the artist formerly known as Twitter, X. I think that's the only ones we're on. I think we're on TikTok, but I don't use it. Same as YouTube. We're on YouTube. You can listen to some of our old podcasts in there, but there's nothing new that you won't get from it. And obviously, if you do like what you hear, just tell your friends. It really does help, and we really do appreciate it. And we really appreciate all the interaction we get from all of our listeners. Very grateful to you all. With that, we'll see you later. And I promise we will probably be doing a joint episode next week. Why do I say I promise? It's never a guarantee with us. We'll get an episode, whether it's me just talking like this for, I don't even know how long I've been talking for. 16 minutes, there you go. Or, yeah, you'll get something. Right. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.